All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. And thought I would sit down, do a coffee chat. A lot of people said, we missed the coffee chats. We missed the coffee chats. Well, we might start doing some of these again. I'm going to spend a lot more time live. Like I said, I'm going to start doing some more current events and other stuff. I don't think anyone was expecting me to be live this early, and that's okay. Beauty of it is that we are able to multi-stream with all this. All right, so we're able to multi-stream, and I can be on all my platforms. So it's going to be a whole lot of Blaha live, I think, for a bit. It's going to be a whole lot of me live, and in the meantime, I can work on other posts and stuff. While I do this, work on other posts while we do it. It's a little fuzzier on the twos. When I go back to the Facebook, it goes brighter because the screen is brighter. Tubes needs to give us a little bit brighter of a platform here, I think. I mean, my other option would be to just go ahead and turn the light on. I guess I could do that if I need to. I don't like having the overhead light on in my office, though. I don't care for it. And you guys can see me just fine. I can see me just fine. Let me put that down. Make sure that nobody. Gavin, good morning, Jason. Glad the coffee chats. Yeah, they're back for a bit. All right. They're back for a bit. And, see if it stays that way. It might stay that way. But again, assuming we get some appropriate questions and stuff. All right. Which we may or may not. And we'll see. But Rip to Charlie, yeah, I mean, we've done a couple videos on that. I think I'm going to discuss the current events type stuff, or like my later chat today. I'm probably going to discuss, some of the blowback of that. A lot of people are losing their jobs over that, aren't they, Gavin? A lot of people losing jobs and stuff. Someone here, the local school district where I live, and I actually voted for the current school board. They terminated a teacher, and I saw the screenshot of what they said about his death. They terminated him here. Keeping in mind, this is a very, very conservative area where I live. Extremely, right? Extremely. So some of that stuff is not going to fly. But we're seeing more of that everywhere. Which is reasonable. Perfectly reasonable. Because again, people shouldn't be making statements, about someone being murdered on television. But I digress. This is coffee chat. I guess we can cover whatever. I don't know. I might start doing all sorts of content. Right? I might start doing all sorts of content on these. We may just get into every topic possible and give my thoughts. I feel like the other approach of the fitness only, I don't want to talk about just fitness only at this point. I'm going to be live for hours every day. We'll probably jump into all types of topics. Everyone's going to be like, Coach, you don't look nearly as full or vascular or ripped in the mornings. I know, because I'm fast overnight. And you guys see me all carved up in the afternoon. I'm all cock diesel, veins busted out of her arms are probably an inch bigger. All right. Gavin says, I feel so bad for his daughter that had to see. Yeah. I mean, Gavin, those kids are not going to be okay. Kids are not going to be okay at all. And that's kind of my point I made with some of that. Anyone who's standing there endorsing that, they need to understand, don't care if you hated the man. He was murdered in front of his wife and children. Okay? You see where I'm going with that? I don't care if you think someone's the most evil human being on the face of the earth. Their wife and children should not have to see that. You know, I mean, let's set aside the freedom of speech. Let's set aside all the other stuff and just have some basic human decency, some basic human compassion. You know, right? Just some basic, just the most basic of decency. To say, hey, that's horrific. That happened in front of his wife and kids. You know, his children are not going to be okay after that. You know, like they're gonna that is PTSD the rest of their life, like straight up. You know, the rest of their life, they're not going to get over that. You don't get over something like that. No. So that's been my issue with um, some of the statements I've seen people make. And I was kind of shocked, that there were people. Saw some stuff on like MSNBC of one of the pundits on there was literally trying to say it was his own fault, and what goes around comes around, and it's like, I don't know. I thought was interesting too in my post on Facebook. One of my former clients, hey Mustafa, what's up? We doing coffee chat, man. How you doing, brother? What I thought was interesting, she stood there and said, and let's keep in mind, she's a woman of color, right? Number one. Number two, she lives in Canada. She's from Canada. She said she didn't even think his views were that extreme. She said that. She's like, this man was killed over that, and I get it that kind of that he was to the right. She's like, but his views were really not that extreme. She's like, I don't think that his views were that extreme to the average person. Okay. This is a woman of color who lives in Canada is saying, I don't think to the average person wouldn't see things that he said is that extreme, or things that they don't hear all the time from other people. So that was an interesting point. Because me living in Texas is not extreme. Like his viewpoints would not be considered extremist at all, and not just in my community. They wouldn't even be considered that extreme in say Latino communities either. Like, to be fair, like where I live, really not that far off. So, yeah. So this whole thing of his rhetoric use, we've gotten crazy. I don't know. We got any other fitness? What's going on, Mustafa? How you doing? I got you over on Facebook. Coach looks all small in the mornings, all right, compared to the afternoon ones when I'm all carved up. My arms are probably an inch bigger. I got veins everywhere. I'm still fasted. We're still fasted right now. But yeah, and I'm going to start doing more coffee chats. I'm going to start doing 2 or 3 live streams every day. We're going to get all up into it. Yeah. Oh man, we lost the only like we had on the twos. I think people are in here. They're not knowing how to chime in. All right. But yeah. No, I'll let the audience kind of dictate a little bit. I was hoping to get a little more in here. It is pretty early on a Saturday, though. I don't know that we're going to get too many people in here. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. So, oh man, like nobody's at the tubes one. We had Gavin in here, and then it just kind of died down. You know, the coffee chats were always slow when I was doing these before. Again, I don't think people were ready for these. They were not expecting them. They definitely were no one expecting it. You know, we don't know what to expect. But I think we're gonna see a lot of Blaha live. Gonna see a lot of Blaha live. All right. We only had like 5 comments so far. We're 11 minutes in. Just said, hoping the coffee chats will pick up. I think as we get more people used to them again, more people will start trying to chime in for these. All right. Put us in our zone. And I can type to clients and other people while I do these. That's the beauty of it if I need to. All right. We can get stuff done. But yeah. Just I got to have an audience. There we go, Zan. I'm here for you, Coach. I just don't know what to ask about. Hey, that's okay, Zan. Zan, you're a regular, your channel supporter. I see your star there. That's okay. You can ask about anything. Hey, you could talk about anything. I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm no longer gonna do just fitness topics. I'm gonna cover different topics. I mean, there's things that I don't know about, so I'm just gonna tell you. I think instead of me rambling on when someone asks something I don't know about, I'm just gonna say I don't know anything about this topic, so I don't have an opinion. Because I kind of joke and make myself sound real dumb on things that I clearly don't know about. But that's probably not good either. I'll just admit I literally know nothing about the topic. There's things I know a lot about, or I have opinions on, even, and there's things that I don't. You know, so people start asking me about stock market. I don't know anything about stock markets. I just don't. I have zero knowledge, none. I vaguely know that it's an idea, right? But you might as well at that point ask me about crochet, how to knit with a crochet needle. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of topics I know about. You know, obviously training, nutrition, a lot of science stuff, a lot of history, anything related to pew-pews. I'm almost a subject matter expert on the latter. It's just we don't do a lot of that online. You know, I made thousands of dollars off of that one pew-pew video I did breaking down, you know, like the 32-page FBI ballistics report, handgun ballistics report. That video made like $3,000 in ad revenue. So many people watched it and chimed in. And a lot of people appreciated it, right? I do know a lot about that topic. Yeah. So even with pew-pews, I'm not just a regular dude with that. I have a lifetime of experience with hand loading and measuring velocities and with equipment. And, you know, since I was like 8 years old, you know, I do have a decent knowledge of that topic. I've custom built plenty of, you know, AR pattern rifles and things. How you doing, Ashley? Good morning. Not many people in either one. Ashley, I'm streaming on both the tubes and on Facebook. It's slow. Unlike last couple of days, I've had some of these that got a lot of views. But I'm going to start doing coffee chats again. I'm going to start doing lots and lots of lives since all my platforms are fully monetized and everything. I might as well just multi-stream and just chat to my people more often. These will pick up though eventually. There was a time when I was doing a lot of lives where I was getting, you know, thousands of views in them. So I think if I just push them hard and I just get known for being a live person, that'll help. All right. Zan says, is doing a variation of 5-3-1 plus a max out week divided into 5 days, too much for recovery. I put it together myself, so I'm not sure it'd be the best, but I've never been so consistent. Zan, so you're telling me you're doing a normal 5-3-1 and you're doing a max effort type day on a 5th day? I personally think that's a bit much on recovery. Again, my personal opinion, depending on how strong you are, though, again, keeping in mind relative strengths. At my strength level and my age, that would absolutely bury me. I would not be able to recover from what you're doing. Right? I would not be able to. I'd have to cut all my cardio out, all my running. Um, I wouldn't be able to do a full 5-3-1 template plus a 5th max effort type day. I train 3 days a week. Now that was funny too. I was chatting with David. And he was laughing. He had his brother over there, like David Neal, over a week ago. We had a video call. I do chat with different coaches I know. And he laughed and he goes, I can't believe, he goes, he's telling his brother, he's like, dude, he's stronger and more jacked than us at 48 and he trains less than we do. Like, yeah, I lift 3 days a week. And here's the thing I would say, Zan, you exceed 4 days a week and you're not on drugs, I don't see the point. Right? So if you're not a steroid user and you lift more than 4 days a week, I'm saying as a coach who makes his living getting people crazy jacked and strong, this is a problem. I would never add a 5th. I wouldn't unless they insist. I've only done it for clients who begged and said, I have to have this. Okay, well, we'll do it for a short time, but I will eventually take them away from it. Adding a 5th day if you are not on a current steroid cycle is just not advisable in general. 4 days is the upper threshold, and most guys can do amazing on 3. Realistically, I mean, I've even seen people at literally the elite world level in powerlifting who were jacked as hell who train 3 days a week. I train 3 days a week. I've had a lot of elite guys who do 4. But, again, a 5th day is usually bodybuilding purposes on a relatively hefty anabolic cycle. So, But I mean, you could always break some of that down. Like you might be like, oh, I'm on a gram of test coach. Okay. And I don't do cardio. I don't do any other activity. But generally speaking, if 5 days is a lot. Now, speaking as someone who's messed with 5-day training, you don't recover the same. Like that's the beauty of the 3 day, because I get people like, there's no way you can deadlift 3 days a week. I'm like, I deadlift 3 days a week and I only train 3 days. And they're not light days. It's not like I have a light deadlift day or a light bench day. Morning, coach, what time is it there? It's almost 6 a.m. Not even time to run yet because the sun's not up. So we're doing some coffee chats. And I'd say hello to everybody. Yeah. That's what time it is. It's time to get ill. I do full body AB, so different variations on AB days, so deadlift is alternate. I have clients who train that way. I mean, I do a relatively extreme full body. I have clients, multiple clients who we do a squat or a deadlift on an AB. Like novices, we have them squat every time. You're not a novice, I have any of my guys who are repping 315 usually. A lot of them I take them, or more. I take them to an AB with a squat and deadlift alternated. I do have some guys who squat all 3 days, but they're also not crazy strong. But at least one of them, he's getting there. He's PRing every week on his squats, but he does 2 sets 3 times a week. I'm doing a double progression on that. All right, we're doing double progression. So, right. Yeah. Patrick said, I did an intense squat program going for 315 times 4 to 315 times 12 in 3 months. I feel it wore my knees a bit. Would you have done any tips? I was chasing 4 or 5 and hit it, thank God. How many days a week were you squatting? I've only had knee pain running Bulgarian light. That's the only time my knees ever hurt from squatting, but it wasn't really always the knee so much as the patellar tendon. Is double progression 2 work sets? No, double progression is, okay. Double progression is a classic approach. It's been around for like 70 years, okay? So that you understand, double progression means that you have a certain rep range you're trying to hit, okay? Right? I mean, I'm just going to give you a classic example. Obviously, I do double progression with really low reps. Lots of people do too, right? So let's just go with 5 to 8, right? So let's say you're doing double progression and you've picked a 5 to 8 rep range for that exercise, okay? You do all your sets starting with 5 reps if it's a weight you can handle for 5 to 6, and you add reps over time. When you get to 8 reps, you add weight. You try to add enough weight to get yourself back down to 5 to 6 reps, and then you repeat it. So it's add reps, add reps, add reps, add weight, reduce. But it's not, you're not basing it upon blocks and cycles. You are basing it upon when you are able to do it. So let's say your double progression for your 5 to 8. You're like, well, how often do you add weight? You add weight every time you get to the top reps. I don't care if it takes a week or 3 years, right? It might take you 3 years on that lift. That's still double progression. If you stick that exact system out for 3 years straight, you're still doing double progression. Like, well, it took me 3 years to get to that 8 reps. Okay. But then you added weight and reduced reps. So it's double progression is not blocks and periodization. It is, I have a rep range I want to stay in. And when I reach the top of that rep range, so we add reps, add reps, add reps. But it's 1 rep at a time usually. Reach it, add weight, and then that forces you to reduce the weight. So that's what double progression means. Because, linear progression is to just add weight, right? Which is okay for novices, but more advanced lifters, I think it's silly to just do it that way with the same number of reps. Because what if you're able to get 9 reps and you're doing 5 still? It's just dumb, right? If you're an advanced lifter, those are jump volume. Those are useless sets. You're not getting much out of them. You're wasting your time. Not saying you're not getting anything, but it's not much. No, Patrick, I don't have advice on the knees because I don't know what'll happen with your training. I don't know what your strength ratios were there. I don't know how weak your hamstrings are. It could have been your squat style. I don't know what equipment you were wearing. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily have advice for something like that. But generally speaking, we shouldn't be getting knee pain. So, your coaching and fatigue management and stuff wasn't ideal. You're like, well, I coached myself. Well, it wasn't ideal because you shouldn't be getting knee pain. There's a muscle imbalance, a technique issue, a work pattern. There's something wrong, right? Or you were wearing wraps or sleeves that were tight and created these problems. I think people forget that with the sleeves and all this stuff. I'm like, if we're at a point where we're using sleeves to stave off inflammation, you're not going to make the long game. Like I get the guys who do that. And, like you're in your 20s, you're already having tendon pain and you're putting elbow sleeves or knee sleeves on to help with the tendon pain. You ain't going to be doing this when you're my age. You're putting a Band-Aid on to help you with the inflammation so you can train through it. instead of fixing what's causing it. Appreciate the super chat, Scott. Thank you, sir. That already makes just the coffee chat worth it this morning. All right? A good use of my time. Made it a good use of my time. Appreciate that. Because obviously they get outreach and stuff too, but those supers add up. I'm noticing that too. If I'm doing multiple lives a day, they start adding up. Plus the outreach. But appreciate it, man. But I also gave you a lengthy explanation of what double progression is. I like double progression. I've written whole programs built around it back in the day. Like that. Remember the old school program I wrote? It was like one of the free programs. It was all built on double progression in the 5 to 8 rep range. Just 5 exercises. Right? All done that way. It worked great. It's funny that I still had people who came back and go, I ran that thing and it actually worked. It actually worked. Yeah. So yeah, Patrick, I just can't give generic advice on knee pain. My only generic advice is fix your squat form, get stronger hamstrings, manage your fatigue better, manage your diet better. Yeah, I think people forget that too. You get people who are like, well, my tendons hurt, and you ask them about their diet, and they eat junk food. I'm like, well, why do you not see the correlation between eating high inflammatory foods and your tendons hurting? Right? Especially like the flexible dieters. I work in 20% when they eat junk every day for 20% of their calories. And I'm like, and then they're like, I use sleeves to help with my tendon pain. I'm like, why don't you lose the sleeves and quit eating 20% junk food and see if your tendon pain goes away? And it's like the look on their face. But it's just calories in, calories out. No, it's not. Yeah, it's calories in, calories out for body fat. Right? You don't think inflammation is affected by the foods you eat? I mean, if everything was calories in, calories out, we wouldn't see these keto dieters with insane LDL cholesterols. Yet we do. So that's what we saw from that last keto study with the high saturated fat. They all accumulated massive amounts of arterial plaque at healthy body weights, healthy body fats, and not a calorie surplus because their diet has other side effects. And what they're doing will cause atherosclerosis. Did you see Thor's fight? Yeah, I think I discussed it in the video. I'm not sure. I know I made a Facebook status on it, Patrick. I made a big Facebook status on it. So there is that. Marco says, I do just one set of deadlifts, one set of RDLs on full body. Day B, deadlifts 3 to 5 rep, RDL 6 to 8. Should this be recoverable for advanced lifter? Yeah. I mean, Marco, I do a full heavy set of deadlifts all 3 of my days. So, and I recover from it. Right. And I have to remind people when they bring up, they're like, gear. And I'm like, okay, let me state this again. I am 48 years old in the normal testosterone range. I don't have a gear recovery advantage just because I'm on TRT. And I think people forget that when I have that conversation. They keep thinking I'm blasting and not understanding that at 48, if I'm just on TRT, then a 22-year-old should out-recover me who's natural. Because their testosterone is the same as mine, but they're 22. They should be recovering circles around me. unless they drink alcohol and eat junk food and don't sleep. But if they lived a good lifestyle, then I shouldn't be able to hang with them on recovery. So back over to that point, because that got brought up for me. Someone said, okay, your deadlift and do this stuff 3 days a week, but you're blasting gear. And it's like, but I'm not. Do you program incline bench for your clients? Yes. Or is it unnecessary for bench goals versus physique? No, I have clients. So if you watch Alex's blog from yesterday, I think it was yesterday, he does incline bench on workout B on his full bodies. Some of my best bench pressers were super strong on the incline. I'm a big incline fan. I'm just not doing it right now. I'm just flat benching plus triceps. But I like the incline bench. I'm a big fan of the incline bench. I think it's useful for physique and building a big bench. Depending on where you're weakest on your bench, it will carry over. I would say, here's realistically, the only 3 chest exercises I really even use for anybody anymore is flat bench, incline bench, weighted dips. That's about it. I feel like those 3 can pretty well cover everybody's needs at this point. I mean, my conjugate guys will floor press and stuff, but to be fair, I think those 3 movements cover everything we need, and they're all big exercises, and they all improve the bench. I just don't see a need for other stuff. I do have like someone now who can't bench due to being their shoulders up in the past, and so we're doing dumbbells, but I'm going to get him benching again. Someone I'm working with who's former rugby player, he's beat the hell up. I'm trying to fix him. Chad says, hey, Chad, I'm also on Facebook if you'll drop me a thing in there. Hey, Coach, to what degree do you feel it's okay to shoot hips up first and just squat your hips shoot up first slightly? I don't know that there's an answer. I mean, you're going to see a very small amount. You're asking me to what degree? I'm not sure, but it should be very minimal. I don't know. Do mine even shoot up when I squat heavy? All right. I don't know that mine shoot up at all. I mean, it's going to happen a little bit, but they're not going to go more than a little. So here's the thing, Chad. If it's happening more than a little bit, they miss the squat. So I suppose the amount of it that they can do while still having good bar speed and not getting stapled is an acceptable amount. Have you found squatting and powerlifting shoes? You mean weightlifting shoes? There's no such thing as powerlifting shoes. In the past versus barefoot now, was there any reason for this? Squat style difference. Honestly, weightlifting shoes tend to be most ideal if you're going to try to Olympic squat, like high bar, full Olympic squat, toes forward, narrow stance is really where they pay off. No, I think in general, lifting barefoot has its own benefits. Chris Duffin convinced me of this years ago. He was a massive proponent of it. Squatting barefoot strengthens your feet and ankles more. It gives you better rooting. It gives you stronger feet. All right. So do you want stronger, more jacked muscular feet? Do you want stronger ankles? Well, losing the shoes can be beneficial to that. Obviously, in competition, you got to put some shoes on, so you'll just wear flats like Chucks or something. Chucks or Vibrams or something or Vans in competition. But usually, no, the weightlifting shoes are an elevated heel. That's generally done for high bar type squatting. Have you heard of the Lillibridge method? No. I read their book years ago, their little bench press book or whatever that was put out. But are you asking me, do I know their actual method? No. Keep in mind the little bridges run a lot of gear. A lot of gear. I have a friend who's trained under them directly, by the way, someone I know. Someone I know I'm actual friends with. Like had video calls with, chatting in the past. He's longer distance, but not going to get into other stuff involving all that. But he's trained directly under them, right? And so a lot of what the little bridges do. I'm not going to go into. I don't want to like call people out or anything because they're great lifters, and they're actually the little bridges are on my Facebook friends list. Just keep in mind. Hey Mustafa, I don't track my exact calories, right? I'm just ballpark it. I estimate I eat about 3,500 calories. Why do you always look flatter on 3,000 versus 5,000? Well, because you have less glycogen. And you're really, really lean. So pretty straightforward. Now, the little bridges use a lot of tests. I'll just leave it at that. And for competition. Things I don't want to say. I don't want to say certain stuff that have been repeated to me by different people who know them regarding their stacks. Because again, it's going to sound like talking crap. I'm just going to say they use a lot of gear, especially going into a meet. So again, that's a different world. So be very careful with using some of their approaches. If you only use a gram a test, if that's as high as you go, we're not even within anywhere near the same tier. Glad you reconsidered getting the coffee chat back. Kind of sipping my coffee to get the day going. Absolutely, Alan. What split are you doing? I do full body 3 days a week right now, Brendan. I start with squat, bench, and deadlift, and then I do my other work. Do you ever try and fasting before? I've been trying not to eat it. No, Patrick, because I prefer to be fasted in the morning. That wouldn't work for me. I don't eat it. No, 7 p.m. is beyond my fasting window anyway, so I'm not eating that late generally. I do about a 6-hour feed window in the afternoon. So, you see where we're going with that. I wouldn't be eating after 7 anyways because I've already had like 3,500 calories or whatever. No, I'm not cutting. I'm recomping. Brendan, I'm just chilling at 209 and just been recomping again for a while. I mean, I cut down to 209, whatever, 18 pounds or whatever, and I've just been chilling there, working on getting stronger and working on my running. So, try to get the big 3 back up and get my run times improved all at the same time. Because I run a 5K 3 times a week on camera. Right. So, just like this week, we went pretty hard on, Wednesday. Like my top set of deadlift was 500 for 5 of the stiff bar after squatting and benching. We did the workout, sled work, all that stuff. And then the next morning, get up and run a 5K. I guess my standard approach right now. North America says, morning, Jason. It's an incredibly stressful day for me today. Thanks for being here every day. Awesome, man. Hey, man, I hope I help you through your day. I've had a crazy week myself. Like it's been a life-altering week for me. It absolutely affects literally my day-to-day. It's been affected. But I'm just going to move forward and turn everything positive. So, hey, man, I get it. Do you take inspiration from other powerlifters like Pete Roach? No, not at all. I take zero inspiration from other powerlifters. Runs a lot while being strong off gear. Right. I didn't even know Pete Rubbish runs at all. Like you're the first person who's told me that. How to avoid injuries, back pain with deadlifting, build strong hamstrings, build your back up correctly, deadlift correctly. Right? You shouldn't be having back pain at all from deadlifts. If you're getting back pain from deadlifts, you need to completely reassess what you were doing from square one. Your technique, your approach, your mindset to the deadlift. You need to look at some weak links. You should not ever injure your back on a deadlift. I mean, I get it. It happens when you're an 800-pound puller. But generally speaking, you should never have any back injury from the deadlift. Something is wrong. Learn how to deadlift correctly. Fix your weak links. And by correctly means don't grind stupid reps you can't complete correctly, right? Yeah. Thanks for set a good example, Jason. I'm going through a separation. Got to keep pushing forward no matter what, brother. Also, hey, man, it happens, dude. I've been there. I think you ran an ultra marathon recently. Nuts considering his past. Patrick, why is that nuts? All right. Mustafa says, so my maintenance, I don't know. What do you mean? No, we don't know what your maintenance is based on that. I'm sorry. Like, you know what your maintenance is based upon what the scale does when you're tracking. Just because you look better at 3,500 doesn't tell you what your maintenance is. It just tells you that's where your glycogen's full. But back to the point, lots of strength athletes go into different endurance sports. I mean, to me, that's not nuts because I'm friends with Viata and I've even interviewed Viata on my channel before. Right? Alex Viata does powerlifting meets and has pulled 700 pounds and does ultra marathons. Like that's, I don't think that's nuts at all. I don't see why you think that's nuts. Athlete is an athlete. Okay. That's why I do the well-rounded thing. That's why I run and lift and everything else. So to me, if you can't do all these endeavors, you're just simply not an athlete. If you're not strong on a barbell or you can't run a decent time, you're not an athlete. I just don't care. I'm not accepting that you're athletic. Right? Sports is sports, an athlete's an athlete. I know plenty of people who cross over to different sports like that all the time and are competitive. I mean, that's pretty normal. When you step away from the bodybuilding world and you go into other aspects of fitness, tons of people cross over multiple sports when you're a lifelong athlete. It's extremely normal. It's extremely normal. My deadlift got better when I learned how to Romanian deadlift STL. Maybe it's just the grams of test and train abuse from his past. It's a good lifestyle change, but that's not going to prevent you from doing cardio stuff later. Like the trend, once it's out of your system, you can do cardio again. He's not on trend anymore. Trend destroys your cardio while you're on it. All right. Do you prefer running in the summer or winter when it's cooler? I don't know, Alan. I've not run in the winter lately. I haven't run in the winter in 25 years, so I don't have a preference. I only started running again this year. I took 25 years off from it. I did it because for the reasons I've said I did it. I've discussed in vast detail why I started running, because it's the one criticism that's valid that people gave to me. And I tell you, I got decent at running really fast. It took me like 2 weeks because I'm in good shape already. Right, all that sled work and all the weight vest walking and all the other stuff added up. So I was already in shape. But I did it because a criticism people gave me. They're like, you're calling yourself an athlete. Yeah, okay, you do conditioning, you lift, but you don't run. You can't run. Therefore, you're not an athlete. And normally I don't take criticism from the internet. But that's a valid criticism. I stepped back and looked at that and said, you know what? That's actually real, legit criticism. That one is 99% of the stuff thrown at me is moronic. That one wasn't. Right? How many sets, reps, and deadlifting? I do 1 set per workout. I mean, you're looking for ideal. We're not going to get ideal. This is a complex programming question you just asked me. All right. This is a complex programming question you just asked me, because I've done up to 10 sets a day. Have all the drugs you're in bumps as health? Possibly. Hey, coach, up early, dropped my life. Appreciate it, Rufio. How many sets, reps? Well, you just answered your own question. How many sets? 1 by 5. I do 1 top set, usually 3 to 5 reps right now. Right. Have you ever been stopped in public for pics with fans? Sometimes I forget how big a following. Quite a few times. I've only been stopped once this year for a picture with a fan, but it's happened quite a few times. Yeah. I don't have a favorite food, but by the way, guys. Yeah, Patrick, I've definitely been stopped. Definitely been stopped in public. So yeah. But yeah, we appreciate the like. We already got a decent super, got a few views in here. Just getting a good little coffee chat in before we get back to other stuff. I decided to do this instead of making another video for this slot. Right? Bodybuilding is a live experiment, absolutely. And I mean, it's gotten hideous anyways. I mean, bodybuilding's just gotten worse and worse and worse, right? We love the lives, right? You guys at Rufio, you guys are going to get a lot of lives coming up, right? You get a lot of lives coming up in the near future. It'll be a big part of what I do. So, do you think the USPA is still a trusted organization? I mean, within reason. What do we count as a trusted organization at all? You know, I don't know how to even answer that. There's no such thing as a trusted organization. I mean, if you're asking me fundamentally, I don't trust people in general. It's run by human beings, so therefore, no. All right. That's why I don't really understand what you're asking. Are you asking, can you trust them to judge your lifts fairly? Can you trust them to organize good events? Well, yeah, obviously. We like the videos also in shorts. Awesome, man. Score recently bumped into Sika Strength. Never heard of him. Here in Ireland and had a nice chat. Cool, man. I mean, I usually stop and chat with them, you know, unless I'm too big. Like if I can't, I can't. Like, you know, example, I'm with somebody else or I have a schedule to keep. I can't stop and chat, you know. But generally, if I'm just out shopping or something, I'll stop and chat with them a couple minutes. Pretty normal. You can give most people 3 minutes of your time. Mustafa, I will do weighted sit-ups 25 kilograms behind my head. Okay. Sometimes with a dumbbell and hammer curls, all heavy. Okay. I don't know what you want me to say on that, Mustafa, but that's cool. I do appreciate the engagement. I know a lot of times you drop stuff just to help me out for the engagements, which is always good. Good for outreach. But yeah. right, guys. I want to check something real quick while we're chatting here. Hopefully it lets me do this. So I got to try to make a Facebook post. Thoughts on drop sets. I don't do drop sets. I don't have thoughts on vegan gains. Other than when you guys ask me about vegan gains, I don't think about them at all. Yeah, I don't do drop sets. I don't generally advocate drop sets. Right? So that should pretty well sum up the situation. Oh man. Yeah, I don't think about vegan gains at all. He thinks about me a lot more than I think about him. He brings me up all the time, apparently, from what I hear. What's going on, Coach? You seem stressed. I'm in a pretty good place today. Rufio, can I be honest with you? I'm not telling the internet what's going on. Yes, I've obviously had very life-altering experiences this week that completely have changed my entire day-to-day life. But I'm not going to talk about it. Like, you're not in my inner circle. You're not my brother. You're not my sister. You're not my aunt. So, no offense intended. Vegan Gains is a clown. Yep. Has there been a time you went for a jog? No, I've had a dog run up at me. Yeah. I've made a couple of Facebook posts and stuff, but we're good. Is there a supplement? Optimal Nutrition, NutriCoast. I'm not big on a lot of supplements. I think 99% of supplements are a scam. But NutriCoast makes a few decent items. They're, because they do very basic stuff. They have good lab testing. Optimal Nutrition makes good protein. It's been consistent in consumer reviews. No, I don't have footage of a dog, Sean. Why? I wouldn't put a dog on camera. There's been a couple dogs who kind of run up to me while I'm running or whatever, or walking, but it's not chased me. Right? That seems like a really weird request, man. Like, you guys have seen me go no to a dog that ran up at me, and it kind of showed. I've never attended a high school reunion. I've seen vegan training, and I wasn't impressed. Okay. No, I've never been to a high school reunion. None of my friends have ever been to a high school reunion. They don't do those things. Sean says, Jason, thank you for all. Yeah. Keeping in mind, I only went to the most recent high school the last year, right? So I spent my first part of high school in a completely different state. And then when I was 17, my dad's work got transferred back. And all the friends I made, I'm still in touch with. So it's like there'd be no reason to go to the high school reunion for my senior year. I've literally, my bros from that group are still my real life bros. I still literally hang out with some of them. So, yeah. Never been to one reunion either, but curious to see how old friends are aging. Man, from what I've seen, I have done better than all my contemporaries on the aging. I've done pretty well there. I've sent supers before. Yeah, you guys don't need to argue. You can argue with each other. That's fine. I mean, it's content. Just joking. I'll have you. Jason, I expect nothing less than you are. You're the best. Stuff. What? Just joking, bro. Mustafa, I have followers and fans who are stronger than you realize, man. I've had some crazy strong fans. I've literally gone on Facebook and seen a guy bench or lift insane weights, and then they say, "Hey, man, awesome! I actually am a fan. I got my start with some of your programming when I was early, 12 years ago." It's like, are you serious? Watch a dude bench 250 kilograms raw, and then give me a shout out back when I say how impressive it is. It's like, oh my God. Your content from My Screen Fitness regarding novice beginner fitness programs still available? Yeah, it's all still here. It's all here, dude. There's like 17,000 videos or whatever on this channel. I could be wrong. Didn't you live in England? I was there for 3 years. So yeah, the food's pretty bad. British food is known for being pretty awful. Like, it's famous for that around the world. No offense to my British followers. Like, it's famous for it. Like, even that full English breakfast thing is just like, it's a 3 out of 10. Like, a full English breakfast is like a 3 out of 10, maybe. It's but everyone knows that. And it's funny because the Brits are not aware of it. And that's okay. They don't have to be. It's literally world famous for having some of the worst food. You'd be the most jacked of your old school friends for sure. Not many your age. Yeah, I'm definitely the most jacked. I'm way more jacked than even one of my bros who was jacked back in high school, who lifted and was really strong. I had a friend in high school who really was a 315 bencher. I got him beat today, though. Sean, Jason, were you the first to start exposing fake natties on YouTube? I may have been. Of all the people I followed on YouTube over the years, you're the one with the few providing genuine content, not selling BS to people. Awesome. The best food you can find in England is Indian, which is hilarious. I agree. The Indian food's legit. Honestly, the Indian food in the UK is pretty legit. Jason, your face has changed. In what way? How's my face changed? I got older. Have you seen Andre Smith? He's uploaded to No, I've never even heard of him. How sustainable? Could a person in theory eat 700 grams of fat a day? Sure, you could do it. You can't absorb that much. Right? You can't absorb that. So, I mean, I don't know if it's sustainable, as in, are you going to have a lot of GI tract problems from the liquid diarrhea all the time? That might hurt you. Yeah. That's way beyond what the human GI tract can absorb. You can't absorb 700 grams of fat in a day. It is biologically impossible. Your face is changing. You got leaner. Okay. Can we get a mountain by Cepheus? I don't know, Rufio. Can we get a super chat? No, I don't remember Michael Hearn inviting me to LA at all. Would you go this time if he invited and paid for it? Why would he do that? So, yeah. I don't think anybody told me when he invited me. Like, I'm legitimately unaware. Like, all BS aside, I have zero memory of this. I literally have no memory of any such event. And maybe it happened and I forgot. I actually have no memory of it. In 2016, okay. I don't remember. Yeah. And so let me be clear. I very well may have made a video response, right? let me be clear, Sean. I might have made a video response, but in 2025, I have no memory of this event. Are you sure he didn't threaten to hit me at my gym here? Because I remember that. Like he threatened me and said he was going to slap me in my fat tits or something when he showed up at my gym. Right. No, I don't remember it at all. So, but I don't remember this other thing. So, Sean, let me ask you a question. Why do you keep asking me when I told you I don't remember it? That's not going to change. So let me state again, I very well may have made those videos. I have no memory of this. It was 9 years ago, according to you. I don't remember that at all. There are all sorts of stuff I said. All sorts of people invited and threatened me and different things. I'm not going to remember all of them. I remember him threatening to slap me at my own gym because I had to go talk to the gym manager about it. I talked to the owner in person about it. So because there was that involved, I remember it. Makes sense? So is that a fair answer? But if you're asking me to remember declining an invitation from 9 years ago, yeah, I'm not going to remember that. Do you remember when Brandon Carter made a video on Vegan Gains response video and he did a party? Do you think? I don't remember that either. No. I have no memory of that either, dude. Sorry. Jason, you're my childhood hero. Appreciate it. Someone asked me for a mount by Cepheus. I don't know if I'm going to look good in this lighting. I could try. Yeah, see the lighting. Oh, mount by Cepheus. They look totally different once I'm carved up in the afternoons. I'll do one then. They don't have veins on it like we normally do. It's early morning, bad lighting, fuzzy lighting. Still fasted. No. I think Konevsky showed Mike. I don't know what Konevsky did with O'Hearn either. I have no memory of that either. So, all right, guys. I think I'm gonna wind this coffee chat down. I can tell you ain't carved as much as your usual drink, but yeah. So we don't eat till later. So when I'm carved up, yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different. But I think we're gonna wind this down. Let me end the Facebook first. And then we can drop out of here. So love you guys, and I'll talk to you next time.